3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show. That's what the official title of this program is called. Yesterday, during one instance, I may have referred to the old program that I used to co-host.
It's fine. I mean, this is a new show. We've only been doing this for over a year.
Well, I hadn't been here in forever, man. It looks good in here. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah? You look good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I hadn't been here since.
I put a little effort into my appearance today.
I have not. I guess I technically have not been in this room for a week. And I wasn't even on vacation.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the last time.
We were here Friday, and we had Monday off.
Friday, yeah.
And Tuesday, I worked from home because of Snowmageddon. And then Wednesday, I worked from home because of the snowpocalypse that followed. And then yesterday, we were on remote in Irmo. So today, I'm here. It's good.
How about that?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you remembered where the place was.
Luckily, it's not that far, as we clearly discussed on yesterday's program.
If it was, it might be a different story. I might have to give you turn-by-turn directions over the phone, which would be a mess because I am so bad at giving directions.
Luckily, it's not too far. We have half a program today, though, so there's that, too, which is good. I can ease my way back in.
Yes.
To being in the beautiful Herndon Chevy studios of downtown Columbia, South Carolina. But he's Elijah. I'm Jay. Welcome aboard. We have half a show because we have Carolina women's basketball coming your way. Brad Muller will be on the call, 4:30 airtime, 5 o'clock tip. Many of you, while you're listening to us, I hope, will be headed over to CLA for a sold-out ball game with a top 5 opponent coming into town. If you're wondering, wasn't this supposed to be last night? Maybe you've just been doing other things this week. Yes, it was supposed to be last night. But because of what was, in all seriousness, a brutal winter storm that hit southern Louisiana, which is if you think it's rare here, then it's even rarer. If this was steak and you want your steak like rare in Columbia, then that's like still, the cow.
Yeah, it's still mooing.
That's how rare it is down that way. But some spots, Baton Rouge, New Orleans corridor down that way, got a foot of snow, got a lot of ice, a lot of power outages, roads impassable, airports completely shut down, and the LSU basketball team quite literally could not leave on Wednesday to get to Columbia for a Thursday game, so they had to delay it by a day, and so here we are. But should be a good one. Looking forward to it. LSU still undefeated. Carolina has just the one loss, number 2. Versus number 5 in what has become one of the, 2 or 3, currently at least, best rivalries, I think, in women's college basketball.
One of the more intense ones.
Yeah.
In terms of storyline, drama, stakes, and characters, I would say it's one of the biggest ones in college sports.
Yeah.
And all sports.
Yeah, I think it's fair, man. I think when you put all that in and go pound for pound, or the Deuce Staley pot of gumbo, and stir that puppy up.
This is a delicious pot of gumbo.
Yeah. So we'll have that for you here in Columbia coming up at 4:30 this afternoon. We're going to do something a little bit different today. First, I'll tell you about our guests. Our regular Friday guest, of course, is our great friend Langston Moore, the former Gamecock and NFL D lineman. He'll be with us from 4 until the end of the program. Ryan McGee, the great Ryan McGee, amazing show host, writer, reporter for ESPN and the SEC Network, will be with us coming up in about a half hour. Always enjoy Ryan's time. And in about 10 minutes, we're going to invite 2 of you on board because we will play the Wild Card Showdown today. We do it on Fridays during football season. It's still football season. Now it's just the pros, but it's still time. And we usually do this around 5:30. So today, those of you listening to us in the 3 o'clock hour are going to get a chance to play. We have a family 4-pack of Carolina basketball tickets for next weekend's game, 8 days away against A&M, and parking. So it's a nice prize. Nice prize. And we'll be playing that coming up for you at 3:15. So when we take a break here in just a few minutes' time, we'll invite 2 of you on board, and away we go. We'll start with the big news of the day. If you have not yet heard it by now, I imagine most of you have in a social media or digital age. But kudos to everybody involved in this. Shane Beamer has gotten a raise and an extension. He is now signed through the 2030 football season. Coach Beamer will get a bump in pay from the low $6 million range into the low $8 million range. Interestingly enough, it will still have him in the second half of pay in the SEC, but it's a substantial raise. He will get $100,000 base raises every year of the extension, and there is a $5 million buyout. I think on both sides. Shane wants to be here. It's quite obvious. Shane wants to be here. This puts him in line. I think this is a fantastic move. And again, just like we announced, or I said they announced, and we talked about last week with Dawn getting her new deal. Tip of the cap to the board, to Thad Westbrook and the board, to Dr. Amaritas, to Coach Tanner, and to Jeremiah Donati, because all were involved. Ray and his staff were still involved with this as they handed the baton to Jeremiah a couple of weeks back. And the Dawn and Shane deals getting done, but I think it's tremendous. Again, he wants to be here. It's quite obvious kids like playing for him. They're doing well in both high school and portal recruiting. I think the next big steps for the University of South Carolina and for Jeremiah Donati are looking at ways to make certain they continue to compete at the highest levels in the NIL space, and that's different from the revenue sharing space. That they can coincide. Right? They can
help each other.
They can work together, but they are now two different things. And reminder, by the way, speaking of Jeremiah, he will be on with Elijah and me Tuesday at 4. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
I love how you asked me that when you were the one who told me.
I was just making sure I had that right
the other day.
Because it was going to be a Wednesday, and I was making sure that we didn't move it to Wednesday. It's Tuesday at 4. Yeah. Again, I hadn't been here in a while, man.
Yeah, I'm oddly enough like the same way. I'll say something and then think, wait, is that 100% accurate? When the way it should go, the order of operations should be, this is 100% accurate in my brain. I will now say it verbally, but oftentimes that's usually not.
Yeah, and to come back to Shane specifically, again, I think look, this is the right move. Like I say, it doesn't. You don't go crazy with it. Again, in terms of where things are in a 1 through 16 pecking order, he goes from 14 to 9. If I saw correctly, but that's not. It's like, oh, why didn't you make him higher? Or why didn't you do this or that? You keep winning. You keep making the university look good. You keep fans and players happy, and everything will take care of itself.
And the number will get bigger.
Yeah.
You continue to win. There's
and
a great correlation here.
I don't know if in his contract there are clauses for bonuses for elite bowls like the Mayo Bowl or Pop-Tart Bowl, the way Bill Belichick had. If y'all saw that yesterday, apparently the University of North Carolina has now labeled the Pop-Tart Bowl and the Mayo Bowl, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, as elite bowl games that are beyond the traditional New Year's Six.
They must have had a really bad experience in Boston for the Fenway Bowl. It must have been a nightmare.
I'll tell you what it is. It's cold.
It must have been a nightmare. They must have had such little fun. They said, we will pay somebody extra to make sure that we don't come back to this place to play a football game ever again.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's neat that I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, didn't we? It's cool that Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium want to have a college football game. It's a great way to use the space and make some extra cash.
Yep.
But it's cold, man.
There was snow lined up on the Green Monster.
That's not. I don't. And
Those
really,
kids don't want to play in that.
I would think, if you're a player, is there a field with a surface and 2 goalposts and some footballs? That's it.
You'll go where you're sent.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind, it's
But they're not looking around going, oh, man, that's the Green Monster. Oh, man, I shouldn't have been looking at the Green Monster. No.
I dropped the game-winning touchdown pass because I was looking at Pesky's pole.
You can't do all that. But anyway, no, it's good for Carolina football, and clearly Shane is making a difference. 3 bowl games in 4 years. The one year that you didn't, you understand why you didn't and what needed to be done. And I think the things that needed to be done were done. Yeah, they went out and the mantra I use all the time in my career. Go get more good players. They did. It worked. You won more games. And now you've got the national pundits, not just the locals, but the nationals out there touting you as a top 10, top 15 program. I mean, now you got two guys that have Carolina in the top 10. Even I am not as supportive as I can be and as excited as I am for the future and what they can do, especially when you've got two, amongst many others, but you've got two premier national names on your team now, on one on each side of the ball in Lenore Sellers and Dylan Stewart. And let's see how Mazeo Bennett emerges, how Nick Harbor takes the next step, what the guys on defense can still do, and there's going to be plenty of other names. I'm not attempting to leave anybody out on purpose, but there's reason to be very, very excited about what they're doing. And you can tell, too, Elijah, that they are developing talent. It's not just about going out and getting 5-star dudes or 4-star dudes. They're taking guys and developing. I mean, even if Nick had a little hiccup there at the end, he's going to be a beloved local player who turned in. But they developed him. Nobody knew Nick. I mean, Nick in Memori was an afterthought for a lot of schools when it came to recruiting. But Shane and them said, man, I tell you what, we like this kid.
A lot of those guys on that defense got better as the years went on, man. You saw a gradual progression because, we talked about how that defense was the weakness of the team in October of 23. It became the strength of the team the entire year in 2024 when you won 9 games.
And
that's
Clayton has earned his raise, and his staff is getting theirs. I mean, it's they're good times, Now just go keep winning football games. All right, we need 2 of you. We're going to play an early edition of the Wild Card Showdown. We're going to pick the spreads. We're going to pick the over-unders. We got some prop bets for the big NFL playoff games this weekend, and a big prize up for grabs, 4-pack of Carolina basketball tickets and a parking pass for next weekend's game against A&M. So 2 of you right now, 803-404-6100. 803-404-6100. After that, we'll talk to Ryan McGee. You are listening to the Friday Postgame Show. Welcome back in. Postgame Show rolls on this Friday. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Wildcard Showdown coming up in a second. Ryan McGee, ESPN, SEC Network. By the way, Marty and McGee back tomorrow morning on the SEC Network. We'll probably talk about that.
All as well.
And Langston Moore will join us until we are done. Again, an early departure for us today as we make way for Carolina women's basketball at 4:30, 5 o'clock tip, Carolina and LSU. All right, Mr. Campbell, cue the band. And let's play this week's edition of the Wild Card Showdown. We've got Jason. We've got John. Boys, how you doing? Jason, happy Friday.
Doing great. Thank you.
You bet. John, how are you?
Hey, doing good.
Good. All right, guys. Usually it's all against the spread, but with only 2 games this weekend, that means only 2 spreads. So we've got some props and some over-unders and some fun stuff in here. Find a way to beat the other guy and us, and we'll hook you up with a 4-pack of tickets to Carolina basketball next week. All right, Jason, I will start with you. We'll start with the NFC game. That's the 3 o'clock game on Sunday. Philadelphia at home, 6-point favorites over Washington. What do you think, Jason?
I got to go with Philly.
Going with Philly to cover the spread. All right. John.
Yeah.
Same game.
That's my game. Okay. I'll have Washington.
Washington, says John. That takes me to Elijah Campbell.
Yeah, this is tough. Third meeting, give me the Manders to cover, and I think the Eagles walk it off with a field goal.
All right. That's kind of where I am. I think Washington, listen, what they did last week, I'm not going to be surprised if they win this game. Am I picking it? No. But do I like those 6 points? Yes.
I'll be surprised, but not surprised.
Yes. Yeah, give me Washington. All right, same game, guys. Over, under 47.5 points. John, I'll start with you. Over, under 47.5. What do you think?
I will go under.
Under, says John. By the way, weather forecast for both cities, I believe 30s, but otherwise not bad, like no snow or crazy weather, just cold because, it's January. All right, Jason, same game, over, under 47.5.
Oh, it's just be interesting. Go over.
Over. All right, there you go. I like it. Yeah, I like it. Elijah?
Yeah, I love that. Life's too short to bet the under. Let's go over.
Over. All right. Well, then we'll split here. I could see this turning, well, I don't know. Now that I say that. Yeah, you know what? Give me the over. Give me the over.
I like how you waited until I wrote down under.
No, that just puts that puts John on what could be a nice island. You never know. All right, guys, to the AFC. I'll start with Elijah Campbell on this one. The Kansas City Chiefs. You've heard of them. They are 2-point home favorites over the Bills. 2 points.
Wow. Yeah, this is tough. They got that devil magic, man. Give me the Chiefs to cover too.
Yes, I think that Kansas City wins by 3 or 4. So I will also take Kansas City minus the 2.
Voodoo.
Jason.
Give me my guy Andy Reid going for the cover.
Kansas City. All right, that leaves John.
I will take Buffalo.
All right.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, we got spice on
Bills
here.
Island.
Not just regular, 2
points, right? I mean,
yeah. No, hey, listen. It's not going to be a surprise if Buffalo wins this football game. No. Kansas City, I know people say they're skating by, and that's true. They are. They find
play
ways.
With fire a lot.
Yeah, but they find ways to win, man. But Buffalo, there's only so many times you can play with fire, and I think they played with it 17 times this year.
Before you commit arson.
That's right. All right, same game. Nice. Same game. Over under 48.5. John, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go over on that.
Over in Kansas City. Jason.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under.
Under, says Jason. I'll let Elijah go last. 48.5. You know what? On this one, I'm going under. I'm going under. All right. Yeah, I feel good about that all of a sudden. I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah, I'm going under too.
Okay.
The Chiefs have the best defense in points per game in the NFL, and an offense that's not in the top 10. They play these games all the time.
And Buffalo will sometimes just run and maybe not do much and then score 3. And
they'll go on those service academy drives every now and then.
Yeah, so I got under on that one. All right, guys. Instead of a wild card game, we have wild card props. Jason, your prop is over under 130.5 rush yards for Saquon Barkley. Over under 130.5.
He's going for 150.
You know what? Last week it was like 113, and then he went for like 205.
He almost beat it by 100.
That's crazy.
He's due.
So over the 130.5, says Jason. John, your prop. Over under 70.5 receiving yards for Travis Kelce, a playoff nightmare for defenses in his career. Over under 70.5 for Travis.
I will say under 70.5.
Under 70.5. Yeah, we'll get like 68, but have like 3 touchdowns.
That's probably how
Probably
it goes.
62 with 3, yeah.
Elijah Campbell, you have over under 217.5 total offense yards for Jalen Hurts. Over under 217.5 total offense.
Oh boy. You know, I will go over.
Over, says Elijah Campbell. And yours truly has 254.5 over under 254.5 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes. And I am going to go slightly under for that one. I'll take the under.
What was the number on that one again?
254.5.
4.5.
And that's pass relative to your total offense.
Total.
And then finally, guys, this one's going to be a big number, so we're going to let you process it. The tiebreaker is combined total offense for Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels. I know they're not in the same game, but they both are dual threats, if you will. All right, so I'll let you chew on that for a second. Combined total offense for Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels this weekend. And I will let Jason go first.
Okay, so you want a number.
I do.
Then we're going to be closest to the number. I say 525.
525. John.
I'm going to say 570.
570. Since Elijah's in first, I'll give him the nod to go last. I am going to go above you two guys, not by much. I'm going to go 610. 610.
Oh, you're close.
What'd you write?
605.
Oh, my. You want to keep it?
I'll keep it.
Keep it.
I'll
All
keep
right.
it.
Oh,
Yep.
I love it.
Because I write these down. I write these down before we start.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
That way.
Gonna be tight. All right, Jason, John, you guys are locked in. Appreciate it. By the way, Elijah has pulled well out in front here of late. He is 51-43-2 against the spread, except for a couple of props, but by and large, yours truly 48-47-1. So barely above 500 after a rough last couple of weeks. But again, you guys beat the other guy.
That
you beat
sounds
us.
like you, Jay.
Well, you know, hey, that's about right in life, man. Just as long as I keep my head above water,
That's what
I'll
I'm saying.
be all right. You know?
Every year, you know.
That's how it works. All right, boys, y'all have a great weekend. Appreciate you. Stay warm. Enjoy the football, and we'll let you know on Monday, all right?
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. All right, that's Jason. That's John, and that is the Wild Card Showdown. Yeah, just stay afloat, man.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, hey, if you win more than you lose, and you are actually putting money on this, then you are coming out profiting.
If I was putting money on all this, I'd be like 12 games, 15 games under.
It's like I saw somebody post a screenshot of like their FanDuel account from over like the past year. It's like you've spent over $6,500 on FanDuel. You have won a net $6.30.
Oh, God.
I'm like, that's a profit.
My wife last night saw the headline about Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, and she's like, how bad do you have to be to lose $24 million gambling? And I was like, I have no idea.
You have to be really bad at it.
I mean, you got to suck.
You have to just be.
I mean, like, what are you saying? It's like you're saying, yeah, I think they're going to, that football game, yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to win by 90. And I'll bet $10 million on it.
He's like, I got endless cash here. He's never going to notice.
I mean, you just got to make some really bad bets, man.
Terrible.
Anyway, all right. We'll come back on the other side. One of our very favorite people will join us. He is Ryan McGee, a fantastic writer and a TV personality at ESPN and the SEC Network. We'll talk a little college football and more with Mr. McGee when the postgame show returns.
Yes, you heard those numbers that we were talking about in Wild Card Showdown. We got those from my friends over at Prize Picks, because Prize Picks is the best of the best when it comes to coming up with player projections to make you really think about how you can possibly win up to 100 times your cash by playing the game. All you got to do is just download the app, pick more or less on at least 2 players to win, to potentially win up to 100 times your cash. And for the championship games on Sunday, they're giving you a free square. That's right, Jaden Daniels, more or less 0.5 pass yards. I like my chances on going with more there, so I will take that and couple it with what I picked in the Wild Card Showdown, and that's going more on Jalen Hurts, 217.5 passing and rushing yards. Whatever you do, make sure you use Prize Picks. Enjoy Conference Championship Sunday even better. Download the app today. Use promo code 1075GAME. You can get $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, promo code 1075GAME. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Just got finished making our picks for the weekend. Good luck to Jason and to John.
Gonna need it.
Yeah, you've been playing well. I won't say it for myself. You've been playing well.
I'm streaky, like the J.R. Smith of picking games. I'll make 8 in a row, and then I'll miss 8 in a row.
Well, that's about where I am then. So, but you're a little better than 500, so that's good.
That's right, until I go 0 for this week.
I don't know how Ryan McGee feels about I don't mind, these kind of contests where we can pretend we know what we're talking about with wagering and prop bets and things like that, but that's why I don't bet money. We welcome on to the program, once again, one of our favorite people. He is Ryan McGee of ESPN. Do you ever go to Vegas or, maybe down the road to Cherokee and do anything? Or are you like me and like your money where it is?
Nah, and I'm not going to lie to you. I have definitely put some money down before, but I've never anything serious. And, it's kind of the business now that it's legal everywhere. It's this business that's driving everything, but I mean, give you some like behind the red curtain. But at ESPN, when several years ago, when ESPN Bet was coming, and sports betting was becoming legal, and DraftKings and all sorts coming to deal, we had meetings about it, and Marty Smith and I both were like, "Hey, we're not going to talk about this." Because we had learned our lesson. Back in the day, a lot of the NASCAR drivers who did bet money on stuff would stop me on pit lane, like, at Darlington or whatever, and be like Elliott Sadler all the time, be like, all right, I'm going to put some money down on the South Carolina-Georgia game. What do you think? And I would give them advice, and they'd lose money every time. So I'd be like, all right, so you know what? Maybe I'm not that guy. But the good news is we have a lot of people at ESPN that love it. I don't mean to talk about this whole time, but I was really naive about it, having grown up in the Carolinas, and then I moved to Connecticut. And number one, no one cared about college football, which is weird. Yeah. And number two, everyone bet on everything. And I remember my brother and I, my dad was in the Big East as a referee, and we went to a Miami-Boston College game. It was Ray Lewis and all those guys in Miami. And it's like a 4-touchdown game. And with about a minute to go, Boston College kicks a field goal. And it didn't mean anything. They lost like 38-3 instead of 38-0, but the crowd flipped out, like the home crowd. And my brother and I were like, what the hell is going on? And then some guy behind, hey, you idiots, they covered the spread. And we're like, I don't know what that means. So, yes, I've always been profoundly naive about those things. But I appreciate the fact that, people are willing to help ESPN bet.
Yeah, sure. Hey, whatever it takes, right? Speaking of money, but moving to a different thing, and this just came up, so this wasn't originally on my list to ask you, but Shane Beamer gets a raise and an extension today. And I'm serious when I ask it this way, Ryan. Who should be more excited, Shane Beamer and his family or South Carolina football fans?
Well, I mean, obviously Shane Beamer's family, that's good, but they were already making money. I mean, I think that Shane probably feels like I do. Like I never expected to make any money doing what I'm doing, and I'm not rich, and I'm certainly getting paid more than $8 million a year. But I'm doing better at this than I ever thought I would, and I'm sure that he feels the same way. But I think the South Carolina fan base should be excited because I think it's important to do everything you can do to keep him in the building and to keep him around. And this obviously, I can tell you firsthand, he and his family love it there. Yep. And when he says that, he really means it. Yep. And so, people are going to come calling for him, and it's going to happen a lot over the next few years. I'm confident of that. And so anything you can do to shore up the defenses against that, I think is a good move. So, yeah. And then also, too, listen, in this day, even now, when all recruiting is so transactional and the turnover so high and guys are only, we just saw Notre Dame offensive lineman transferred to Tennessee, after playing for a national championship, 4 days ago. Mm-hmm. And that's the way that the world works right now. But in recruiting, it still is a gigantic tool when you can say, well, I know I'm going to be here X number of years, and I'm not planning on going anywhere. And in an age where everybody's trying to find whatever negative tactic they can use against you, what they cannot use if they're recruiting against South Carolina anymore is, well, he's going to leave. Not, well, but now he can go, no, I'm not. I just signed this deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of pivoting here a little bit, Ryan, we've now completed the longest college football season of our lifetime in terms of the calendar, starting in late August and ending on January 20th, and our first year with a 12-team playoff. How would you kind of grade the execution of the event, the field itself, and the TV event that this is ultimately supposed to be?
Well, first things first, I struggled a little bit with the fact that the season was so long. And this is coming from a guy who covered NASCAR full-time for years, and that's the longest season in the world. It starts around Valentine's Day and ends around Thanksgiving. But my wife looked at me last week, and she goes, this is the first time since I really transferred over college football full-time years ago. She said that it kind of feels like the end of a NASCAR season. She's not wrong. I literally took down my Christmas tree 2 hours ago. And I put something on Twitter about it. Everybody's killing me over it. I'm like, no. The season just ended. I got home on Tuesday afternoon. So don't give me a hard time. Normally, I take it down when I get back from the championship, and every other year that was 2.5 weeks ago. So that part of it is weird. I wonder about in the long term. I think they're going to have to figure out a way to shorten it. Reese Davis and I were just talking about this on the College Game Day podcast. I guess it was Wednesday morning, and I'm all about more football, but I do think that you can't push it too hard up against the NFL playoffs. And I think that people and the players themselves, I think there's an exhaustion level to it. And it was interesting being there because there was so much excitement around the game. But even the coaches of the two national championship contenders, Al Golden, guys I've known forever, they were looking at me like, this is great, but I'm going to be really excited to get on a plane on Tuesday and go home. And I think a lot of people felt that way. So, but I think the product was great. I was in Columbus for the first round game with Tennessee at Ohio State. And, the score notwithstanding, that was one of the most, if not the most unique atmospheres I've ever been in, because it felt like a bowl game, but it was on a home field. Mm-hmm. And, you think about the first year of the 12-team playoff, and in a dream scenario, your first 4 games were in Austin, Texas. You were in Happy Valley, you were in South Bend, Indiana, and you were in Columbus. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then also understanding that we all would have loved to have an SEC school in the championship, but having Ohio State and Notre Dame, which are inarguably 2 of the top 10, if not top 5 brands in the history of the sport, having them play for a championship is amazing. So, yeah, and I thought, listen, the first round is probably going to be lopsided. There's going to be a lot of lopsided games, just like when we only had 4 teams. Guess what? Most of the games in the semifinals were lopsided. Yeah. That's just the top couple of teams are better than the other teams. That's just how that's going to go. But I thought the excitement was great. I love the fact that they're incorporating the bowl games. I want it to be 16 teams. I felt that way all along. But I want everyone to play the same number of games. I hate the buys. Clearly, it didn't help anyone. All 4 of the teams that got buys were out as soon as they played. So there's things to tweak. But overall, man, I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, I want 16 as well, and more games on campus if we can do it. I don't mind the bowls, like maybe in the semis. I know I'm a traditionalist too, but I'm also a realist. But I'd love to see more games on campus because I just think that's what college football is. But that's We'll
now, I can tell you this.
Yeah,
it was pretty cold. I mean,
right.
But and what was interesting was, so here you are in Columbus, Indiana, and as we all know, living here in the Carolinas, Yankees love to tell us about how we should do things in the cold.
Right.
But I can tell you that they weren't ready for that. They all of a sudden, the panic attack of, are the pipes in the toilets going to freeze? And this was at 3 of the 4 venues.
Right.
This was and not Texas, but at the other 3. And so there was a high pucker factor. And so I think that'll only get better as we go. So second round, you start talking about New Year's Eve games, in Columbus and South Bend and whatnot. I mean, I just got a shiver talking about that.
Well, I'd said that a bunch. I heard that, just wait till those southern teams come north. I'm like, it's cold for those northern players, too. And you know what? A lot of them are from Florida and Texas and Atlanta, and they ain't ready for it either. So,
cold is not the reason Tennessee lost. The reason Tennessee lost is Ohio State was better than everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And we said that, too. The day that UT left for Columbus, it was 31 degrees in Knoxville. and it had snowed a couple days prior. It wasn't.
Yeah, I laughed about that too, about everybody acting like.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter, as you guys know, is at Carolina, and she's asking me to buy her a space heater. You know, everybody acts like, for her dorm room, everybody acts like, just because we're in the South that it's all, living in the Virgin Islands, and that is
that's what I said.
That is not the case.
It's not. That's what I said. That folks in Ohio are like, I think Knoxville is right above Pompano Beach, and I'm like, no, it's
not how that works.
It's not at all. It's on the edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Smoky Mountains. I got just under a minute here, so we could go for hours. Elijah's never been to McCormick Field. And so later this spring, we're going to have to make that happen. But a 30-second synopsis of the amazing virtues of McCormick Field.
Just when you're sitting there, and they're renovating the ballpark, and they got a lot of work to do in a short period of time. But when you're sitting there, just think about it. Jackie Robinson plays second base. Willie Stargell hit a home run that went so far up the hill into the neighborhood down the fake green monster down the right field line. Yeah. The only person we know of that hit one further was Babe Ruth. First professional game ever played there. Ty Cobb played center field. Just remember all of that. And also, there's cheap beer on Thursday night.
That's right.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah, and a field that is quite literally carved out of a mountain, which is pretty awesome.
It's great. And they got a lot of work to do in a short period, but it's also been a staging point for all these people looking for water and looking for food and looking for these things after Helene. Yeah. So the magic of that place extends even through the wintertime.
Marty McGee back in the morning, right?
Yeah, back in the morning. I'll be not sure how I'm going to pull it. I haven't gotten up that early in a long time. But, yeah, we're back, and we're excited about it. And we've already told the producers, quit telling us to talk about whatever. We're just going to talk about whatever we want to.
There you go. That's what it's all about. Good stuff as always, sir. We appreciate you. We'll do it again real soon.
Thanks, y'all.
That's Ryan McGee, ESPN and the SEC Network. Marty McGee in the morning on the SEC Network. ESPN McGee to follow him on Twitter. And if you don't, you certainly should. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Friday. Along with Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. Thanks again to our buddy Ryan McGee. Always a pleasure to talk to Ryan. And, yeah, we could, we had 15 minutes right there, not even about 12. If we could do 12 hours and still not get it all in. And
still a great 15 minutes.
Laughing.
Can't save you 15% or more on car insurance, but it was a really good 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I don't even know, we ask about McCormick Field. I will. We do. We
Field trip.
We need to find.
Field
we need
trip.
to. Let's make it work because I'm up there. Like as you know, I'm up there about once a month. So once the season starts in April, we'll try to coincide. Now,
Yes.
We'll figure something out.
Oh yeah,
We'll figure something out.
there'll be a Thursday.
And if we, we have remote equipment. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yes. Well, we will make it a
I'm just gonna leave
a
it.
field trip.
Yeah. And
We know people.
again, Wicked Weed is about not even 5-minute walk, and that's a
Now you're
walk.
talking.
That's a walk, not a drive. It's about a 5-minute. It's right down the hill. I'd say it's like a 3-minute walk.
The only danger here is that we may never leave.
You know what?
Check out every time we like.
Basically,
but
you can never
spiritually,
leave.
We'll never leave.
I feel that. I love Asheville, and I honestly, man, there are days when I'm coming back down 26, and I'm like hitting Hendersonville, and I'm like, I really don't want to come home. I love Columbia. I mean, trust me, I'm a I don't even know, 6th generation Columbian, so I've been around. I've been here, but I do love me some Asheville, North Carolina. But McCormick Field is just. It really is. I love our ballpark here. I love the old ballpark. My wife and I got engaged at the old ballpark here. I love minor league baseball. I love baseball. But there is something truly unique about McCormick Field. And when you see it, because it's tiny because of where it is. I mean, you just think of Segra right now. And Segra, I mean, look, the baseball field is basically the same size, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it at all. You feel like, is this a little league field? Like it's just it's so nestled. I think that's the right word.
Okay, I like that.
Onto a hillside. And again, like Ryan said, it's a little shorter in right field because behind the fence in right field is the side of a mountain.
And Willie Stargell and Babe Ruth have hit dingers over that mountain.
Yeah, and Crash Davis.
Crash Davis.
Dude, in the movie. And the Fuddruckers isn't there anymore, but there's the sign for the Fuddruckers because when they filmed it, they just left the real signage on the field,
As
right?
they should. I mean, that then becomes part of the, no pun intended, tourist attraction.
Sure. Sure. And about a mile from McCormick Field-ish, give or take, about a mile, is where the Fuddruckers was. And I've been to that Fuddruckers on Charlotte Street many a time. In fact, we were up that way in North Asheville not too long ago, and I thought to myself, how long? Because now it's just an empty lot. They tore the building down. There's nothing on it. And I'm like, they need to put something back on that place. But anyway, I could go on and on about Asheville and beer and minor league baseball, but we'll make that happen at some point. Real quick, Carolina tomorrow has State coming in town, 35-point loss last time. We know what the heartbreaker looked like on Wednesday. Is this team ready to pick itself back up?
That's a tall ask. I mean, maybe the adrenaline of playing at home can help you a little bit. And maybe you learn a lot of lessons from that first meeting where you did everything you could.
They weren't that. Carolina's not that bad.
Traps. No,
Carolina's not that.
They're not.
Yeah.
They played into the traps that Mississippi State sets. And I think this is the bigger test on how, not just you bounce back mentally and emotionally, but how are you as a basketball team at learning from your mistakes?
Right.
Can you learn from from the bad matchup the first time? You know Mississippi State loves to trap that short corner. How many times are you going to dribble into it? Right? I mean, how many times you can turn the ball over whenever they force you sideline? Can you get the ball into the middle of the floor? Can you get the ball to Colin in the middle of the floor and let him do what he does? Can you draw one-on-ones? Like that's the big thing. Can you do all the little things that when doing them wrong lead to disaster like what happened in Starkville and bounce back and do those little things correctly and fix some of those fine details that can at least give you a puncher's chance at winning this game against what is a really good team, maybe one of the most underrated teams in college basketball in Mississippi State, honestly. And then, of course, Mississippi State can shoot themselves out of games sometimes. They did not play particularly well at all against Tennessee in the midweek. So can you catch them off a bad shooting night in a slump? Maybe. But I say it's probably I'll give them a 30% chance.
Yeah, that's not That might be better than some would have. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, tip-off, Carolina and Mississippi State. Final portion of our program coming up before we give way to Carolina women's basketball in a huge top 5 matchup. Langston Moore joining us talking playoffs and more. Coming up. Speaking of the playoffs this weekend or basketball or anything else you want to watch, how's it look? When's the last time you got new TV equipment? Do you have what they call like a surround sound system, but it's just like a speaker from a box that throws off a little echo? Do you go to a friend's house or maybe like your brother-in-law's house or something? You're like, man, that system is awesome. I want one of those. It's time for you to call my good friends at Integrated Media, and they make house calls. Show them where you want to do all this. Maybe you're building or remodeling. Then let your contractor work with Integrated Media. But get it done right the first time. Listen, one room, whole house, amazing surround sound. You can get it in wall, in in ceiling, or you can have the Sonos system that you can move around. How about an outdoor system? Yes, they do that too. It looks and sounds just like the indoors, and you can enjoy the weather and your favorite game or show out there. 803-948-8327. Call Integrated Media. 4 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back in. Postgame Show rolling on here. An abbreviated version of the program this afternoon as we make way for Carolina women's basketball. Our buddy Brad Muller on the call at 4:30, 5 o'clock tip. Carolina and LSU, a game postponed. Again, we did the math, 21 hours. It was supposed to be last night. The really awful winter weather that hit southern Louisiana. Again, if you think we're not very well equipped for winter weather in our capital city, they're less equipped than we are. I mean, down there, they hook up like a dude's wheelbarrow to the front of a truck as a snowplow.
Or they just use voodoo.
Yeah, we don't even, whatever it takes. Yeah, which one are you?
Which microphone? Here we go.
Well, you could use that one too.
See, I'm never on the side.
Yeah, you're over here. It's weird.
I don't know what any of these buttons do. I'm just pressing.
When's the last time you did radio on this side of the glass?
It would have been
high school show.
High school show, yeah, December, because I'm here for the high school show.
Yeah.
So my man Ed Bird, who's back there right now, is runs the board.
Well, like when I was gone and you were hosting, you weren't running everything over there, were you?
I was.
Oh God.
There was one day though.
Yeah.
That Captain David Day ran the board, and I wasn't here.
That was nice.
But for the most part, I would.
Okay.
I would octo arm it.
Move this thing. I can't see you.
That way you can see me.
Yeah, it's weird. Langston Moore joins us now. He's from South Carolina, so he's not equipped for a lot of winter weather. Now he lives in Dallas. Is Dallas? Hey, did y'all get a lot? I don't know how Dallas was relative to like Houston and Baton Rouge and New Orleans and all that. What'd y'all get this week?
This week was okay. It was just, a lot of freeze and brick cold because, again, there's nothing to stop this wind once it rolls across the plains. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. But it was the week before we had a little bit of snow. But, y'all got hit pretty hard. And brother-in-law sent me pictures of Bourbon Street. He's down in New Orleans, and that's crazy. That's crazy. That's definitely wild. Like I said, the global warming is nice this time of year. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like a magic 8-ball of weather.
Exactly. We got a lot to get to in a short amount of time with you, sir. First off, your reaction to the big news this morning that the Board of Trustees has approved Shane Beamer's raise and extension, takes him above $8 million, adds a couple of years to the contract signed through 2030. You know this program very, very well. You know Shane. What does this mean for Carolina football?
He getting close to that Lou Holtz era. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about the wind and the weather blowing me away. I got my wallet on me. No, much deserved. It's a guy who's put together a staff and, put together a team and built continuity in the era of all these things going on. And quietly, it feels like he's kind of like figured out our little niche in the transfer portal. Yeah, a lot of people go after quarterbacks and skilled players, but we've been going after interior guys, linemen, figuring out, don't forget this is the way you win football games in the SEC, football games in the playoffs. Just look at the last two teams that are around there. Now, again, there were a bevy of players on the Ohio State side, and we could talk about how they used it in a whole different way. But hats off to Coach Beamer, and, really excited and gives us some continuity. And, they're running the money up, and more power to them. I know who I need to ask to. I know who I need to go talk to if we need to get some book sponsorships or something.
That's right. Well, between Shane and Dawn getting it, this last week, Jeremiah Donati has been very busy as a new athletics director.
Absolutely, and again, he's when he was coming in, of course, we knew we needed to change over with Ray leaving, and so what's going to be the splash hire? Because that's usually the thing when the AD is coming in. Usually they got to do facilities, they got to do, and again, across the board, we pretty much got everything we need. So he did the right thing in sewing up the two kind of main pillars that we have at our school, especially within the athletics department. I'm excited to see what else our new AD is going to have in store. But smart man to go ahead and lock up Dawn Staley because, all that Philly gear and all that stuff, we need to keep her far away from any NBA team or anybody that just wants to get really creative and be like, you know what, you want a jet done? You want to come? No. We're right. She's fine right here. She has a home right across the river. She's straight. We're good. Don't worry about it.
Maybe some of her contract has a clause where it's like you get with, if you play at home on Super Bowl Sunday or any Eagles playoff game, we will provide you the Randall Cunningham jersey this time. That might be, more incentive for her to sign it. And that might be what's in there. You never know. But, this is our first time talking with you, Langston, since Ohio State beat Notre Dame for the national championship. I was joking with Ryan McGee. It's the longest college football season of our life. But now that you've seen a 12-team playoff implemented, you saw what a team like Ohio State did, even with 2 losses, become our first 2-loss champion since LSU in 07. What did you kind of think of the implementation of a 12-team playoff, and how do you feel it kind of benefits, I guess, maybe the long-term health of the sport now that we've kind of entered in a new era of not just NIL and transfer portal, but of an expanded college football playoff?
Now, when we're talking about the health of the sport, yes, more football, more whatever, but there's also that gluttony part where, like, we love all going to the chocolate fountain and getting the chocolate fountain and getting the chicken wings from the buffet, but, like, after a while, it's just like, I just want one meal. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it felt like. I just want a meat and free, please. Just don't give me none of that. I don't want no raisinette salad, none of that crazy stuff. So, and that's what it felt like. I mean, now again, I'm all for more football. I just think they got to figure out a way to condense. A lot of people have talked about that. I am an anarchist, I guess. Depends upon what side of the fence you want to look at. But, like, man, specifically when we were on the outside looking in Carolina and all these teams, and when they were talking about the 12 team, and man, everybody all the way up to about the 20th teams I think let's just go ahead and expand it all the way out to the 20th and just keep rolling. Next week to next week to next week, and expand the playoff to maybe 20 teams. And again, just add those bowl games, all those satellite deals. We can make those deals again. We can introduce the home-and-home stuff. Of course, we got to talk about some of the layoffs. I think there was a big layoff for a lot of these teams, thinking about Oregon and some of these other teams that play like 20 days in between. So, I mean, everybody wants to rest, but, as opposed to just trying to fit everything into the TV schedule, I think we got to be a little bit more cognizant of that. But, again, I'm on the outside. I'm not a player. I'm not labor anymore. I know what I'm talking about. Like, they don't care about these players because talk about long. These guys look tired at the end, not because they played a football game. They look tired. Ohio State looks like, just like, with all the emotional stuff. Again, it's a very, very long season, emotional season. Thinking about just the emotional roller coaster for Ryan Day. And, again, man, the hair dye held up. So we can talk all the trash we want to, but definitely a long season, long for the players. And, again, I think they can figure out some ways to condense this and truncate some certain things. But, again, let's expand this thing a little bit more because I like the anarchy similar to, like, March Madness basketball.
Yep, I think it's going to be 16 here pretty soon. By the way, they did announce today, and I hope this is in pencil, the 2027 championship game. So I guess that's the 26th season.
Yes.
2 years from now, will be in Vegas, and they've scheduled it for January 25th. So It's even later. I think next year's in Miami. Yeah. And that one's already booked. But, 2 years out, I'm like, y'all want to, I know you got to book Vegas early if you want to have, like, thousands of hotel rooms. But they might want to.
Oh, that's disgusting.
They might want to rethink that. And Langston, the reason those Ohio State dudes all look tired, man, is because they're all 40.
That is also true. I mean, they've been coming from the last era of the coal mine guys. You know what I'm saying?
Jim Tressel recruited them, man. They've been there a while. That's why.
They've seen a lot.
Yeah, that's why.
Again, looking at the job market for young folks, I'm just saying it's not a bad idea to stay in college a lot longer, especially since there's free agency every year, all of those different things. And there's a reason why they bumped that deal all the way out in 2026 or 2027 is because, like we talked about, they're already going to expand this thing. They're planning for success, Jay. They already know we're going to go ahead and expand this thing, baby, in 2 years. So let's just go ahead and push it out even further.
They can expand it, but I don't know if they need to extend it. I think there's two ways to look at it.
Let's stretch this New Year's Day meal, Jay. That's what they did, is trying to keep add more water.
Leftovers,
add more water.
You know what? Listen, those collards are still good on like January 3 or 4. They're not so good on January 23 or 24, and you can't freeze them.
That's what the vinegar and hot sauce is for, Jay.
It masks a lot of stuff. Vinegar and hot sauce can be masking agents.
It can.
Very good masking agents.
I'm gonna get you. We're gonna do a little role play for college before we talk about the NFL stuff out there. There was a story this week that the ACC may want to revisit how it crowns a champion. And they said they might want to do one thing, and that's just give their regular season champion a bye, whatever that might mean, which really means you wouldn't even play. I don't even know. And then they had the second and third place teams play in a championship game. So congratulations, you're the runner-up. That's one. The other one, Langston, was that they might have, he said, Jim Phillips, no relation, the commissioner, might have teams 1, 2, 3, and 4 play each other on the final day of the regular season, to which I told Elijah, Well, okay, except that 4 of your schools, at least, have, big rivalry games with SEC teams. So I want you to be the commissioner of the ACC having to call those 4 SEC teams if, say, in some order, Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Louisville were all 1, 2, 3, and 4. How's that going to work?
I am playing the role of Jim Phillips.
Yes.
Do I have to pay these teams money for not playing them, like breaking a couple years ago, obviously during COVID?
Yes.
Well. I'm gonna write you guys a check because we're gonna do something a little funky up here in Durham, Raleigh. Because again, thinking about the 4 teams, we probably can guess who they're going to be at this point. Even I can put, I don't even know who's going to be the quarterback next year down there at Miami, but I think those will probably be Clemson, maybe. And so this is the thing. So like a Georgia Tech, nobody had Georgia Tech at the beginning of the year being the team that on the cusp of beating Georgia, all these different things and other playoff implications. Like, first of all, Jim Phillips, I don't know what he's thinking. And this plays into the old ACC cupcake.
Did you say you don't know what he's thinking or what he's drinking? Because it could be both.
Because, again, drinking is, it could be both things. But, again, this is a man who's been on this job or on a job similar to this before. I think he's made burgers before. I think he's been in a Northwestern guy. He's got a little bit of smarts, but I think you're trying to be too smart here, buddy. I think you're trying to create a tournament at the end of the year. You're taking away some of the history in the games of like the Carolina, the Clemson, the Louisville, Kentucky's, the Florida States, if that gets to be the thing. They played that a little bit early in the year, but the whole point is you're trying to shield your number one team and that's what it feels like. This guy is trying to get all the green lights to the championship trophy for his conference to try to use some type of leverage. And the leverage is the product. You have your teams go out there. You hope you have 4 dominant teams out there, and you're figuring out a way to be pounding the table at the end of the year, a la SEC teams that, oh, man, South Carolina needs to get in there because of this, and this. Oh, Ole Miss needs to. That's the best-case scenario, not trying to play, hey, keep these 4 over here. Let me keep, okay, we'll just go ahead and crown, halfway through the season, we're going to crown Miami the winner, keep them safe, and then Clemson's, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, somebody like that, and y'all figure out what y'all – no. No, what are you doing? But I give him an A for creativity, but, man, go back to the drawing board. Go back to the bar and think about something else. Write something else down on that little bar napkin because, again, I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, I told Elijah that trial balloon can't get floated out past the office.
What bothers me is that he's doing this to kind of curtail, your top seed getting upset and missing the playoff. But what is the sample size example that he has? His top seed lost and still made the playoff. So he's trying to come up with a solution to a problem he doesn't have. That's the wild thing right now. Like SMU played in the game, and they didn't get punished for playing in the game. Right. And you got 2 teams in the college football playoff because the 2 seed beat the 1 seed. And here he is trying to sneak more teams in the playoff by means of an issue that isn't even real to him. And if that's not the most 2025 sentence I've ever said in my life,
a solution.
I don't know if I can top that.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Well, I wouldn't have let that get out of my office in Charlotte, but he did, and hopefully that one goes nowhere. It can't go anywhere. You can't do that and get away with it. But I did the quick math. I mean, a Carolina Clemson game is going to generate in either city, either stadium, well in excess of $10 million. So you can't do that.
You can't lift up some cash cushions and find that to replace it.
They don't have that kind of cash. Langston Moore is with us, the former Gamecock and a longtime NFLer. Come back on the other side, his predictions and thoughts on the 2 championship games this weekend, and a couple of coaching vacancies have been filled in the NFL. We'll do that as the postgame show rolls on. Welcome back in. Postgame show rolling on. Just a few minutes left before we make way for Brad Muller and Carolina women's basketball. Top 5 matchup, Gamecocks and LSU. Jay and Elijah with you. Langston Moore on the guest line with us. And do want to remind you to go to athletesandartists.net for the latest in the Just a Chicken swag, including those cool Beamer shirts and a lot of other fun stuff. The Just a Chicken series of books, Butt and Gut podcast, and so much more. Is that like a resolution this year to have even more Just a Chicken gear?
Oh man, it's like you've been on these inter conference calls, man. Did you get the Zoom link or something? That's definitely what we're trying to do. We're trying to turn up this merchandise and got a lot of cool little artistic things we're trying to get out there in the world. So yeah, they asked for it. You know, the goal is to have a sheet like on book fair there, Jay, when they would come up there, they'd give you the color sheet, and they'd be like, you know, do you want the pencil box? Do you want the toy set, you know, the lunch box or whatever? Do you want a book? Do you want the boxcar shirt to go with the boxcar boy book or something? So, you know, we're living out our childhood dreams of just trying to come up with a comprehensive book fair list of things that you can have.
I love those days. I don't know if Elijah knows what that was, but I love those days.
Oh, no, his stuff was all digital. Scan the QR code, have your mom PayPal. It wasn't Zelda. Have your mom PayPal it. Right. You know, it was all different. It was all different back then.
I love those kind of things. All right, we only got a couple of minutes left here, so we'll race through this. Let's start with the NFC game. Can Jaden continue his dominant performances and go up and mess with the Eagles? You like Washington? You like Philly?
I like Washington, but again, the pathway is stopping the run. Saquon Barkley is a maniac. I think I saw a stat somewhere like for like 3 carries, Saquon Barkley had like 3 touchdowns, 100-something yards. The other 6 were like negative 28 against Washington. So obviously, it's boom or bust. Think about Dan Quinn. He wants to limit big play ability, whether it's the run, the pass, but specifically the run start off. Think all the way back to when you think about those Seattle teams, they got to stamp out the run and get to the pass, and that's where they're really dangerous at. But again, Washington is going to stay in that nickel defense, and that really bodes well for the Eagles if they want to get this run game going. Because again, the Eagles, I think, are like one of the teams that like Saquon Barkley doesn't get touched to like 3-4 yards down the field, and that's not good anyway. You know what I'm saying? So if you're in a nickel front already, that's already a lot of gaps in the space. So it's going to be real interesting. But also the thing to look out for is Jalen Hurts, that knee, the concussion deal a couple weeks out. If it gets down to be one of those deals where Dan Quinn gets up early, and that's where I think it got to pile it on. The trick plays, everything got to be in the first quarter. Get up on the Eagles and make them use all those wide receivers they've been talking about. Put the books down and see if they can make some passes. I think that's the pathway for Washington, and I think Washington is going to be the difference. I think Jay Daniels is going to be the difference between Washington, the familiarity, all those different things between these two teams.
All right, a little over a minute left here. Kansas City gets Super Bowl trip number 5 under Andy and Mahomes, or Josh Allen finally gets there?
I think Josh Allen gets there. It's going to be in the trenches there. So obviously 7 sacks last week against the Texans, the Kansas City Chiefs all over the place. It's going to be a totally different animal with Josh. I think he's going to put him on their back. I think the head coach up there is going to channel his old mentor when he was with Andy Reid, Jim Johnson, defensive coordinator. I was talking trash about that defense, thought it was real kind of thin, skinny. I think they're going to be built for speed to handle this team, handle keeping the ball away and getting the stops necessary against Kansas City to try to pull the upset out there in Arrowhead to go to the Super Bowl.
That'd be something. That's only a 2-point spread, man. I mean, that's basically a toss-up this time of year.
That's the game. I'm glad that one's being played second.
Yeah.
Because I think Manders and Eagles is a good appetizer.
Yeah. I think Jaden's going to do some nice things. Real quick. You like Pete Carroll going to the Raiders?
Man, I love that hire. I love how I can already envision just him oh man, just give him some of those glasses that Al Davis used to wear, and I'll just do a double take sometimes. But I think the culture, all of those different things, get a quarterback. That's the one thing. Don't go out here try to go get Russell Wilson again. No, don't do nothing crazy. Go get Shador. Go get what you need. And that's going to be an interesting caveat with Tom Brady having ownership. The tie-in since Shador's been little. Them being at 6, not all the way the first pick. That's just going to be interesting. But I love that Pete Carroll hire. Nice, short, and sweet. Pete's still going to have a whole bunch of energy, a lot of culture. I mean, I really see that working out well for them.
I think that not just because I'm a fan, but I think that just became the best division in football.
Man, I saw 9 Super Bowls, gajillion wins between Andy Reid. The only oddball out is Jim Harbaugh. He's been to a Super Bowl. He hadn't won one. Everybody else has won. That there. And I think that was probably the pathway, the smart deal, looking at the cachet of coaches that are out there. We need a coach that has a Super Bowl pedigree, has built programs, and I'm wondering, Belichick not being around, even though he still hasn't signed a contract, is still loose, he feels like he can get out at any moment, that not being around, I think having that pedigree at the head coaching position was really something that the Raiders looked at beyond trying to find the offensive coordinator. They've done that before. They defensive coordinator, young guy. I think they did the right thing with this.
No doubt. Have a great weekend, sir. We appreciate you. Carolina basketball is next. Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union ready to help you out with any and all of your banking needs, checking, savings, credit cards, car loan, student loan, home equity line of credit, whatever it is that you need when it comes to banking, do it for less with Palmetto Citizens because they're not for profit. They return earnings to members in the forms of lower rates and fewer fees. You keep more of your money, and they're just so good at what they do. All local, been here since the 1930s. My wife and I are members. We've always been pleased with what happens at Palmetto Citizens, and I think you will too. Check them out online, palmettocitizens.org, or any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations. That's Palmetto Citizens.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to, they're causing some issues on the roadways. Starting with one on Farrow Road at Highway 555 at North Brickyard Road, one on Hallbrook Drive at Kaufman Road, Hugh G. Street near Blossom Street, Highway 1 at Augusta Road at North Grampian Hills Road, US 378 at I-77, Westcott Road at St. Andrews Road, and lastly, one on Windsor Lake Boulevard near Alpine Road.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, a Cumulus media station.
The last two national champions are from the SEC, and they're going head-to-head tonight. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Colonial Life Arena in Columbia. Brad Muller with you on a Friday night for University of South Carolina women's basketball, where tonight your second-ranked South Carolina Gamecocks take on the fifth-ranked LSU Tigers. A day late due to the winter storm, but hey, both teams are here, crowds filing in. Going to be a great night for women's basketball. The only game in town in the women's basketball world in terms of the SEC and the top 25. So the eyes of women's basketball are here on Columbia and Colonial Life Arena. Coach Dawn Staley's Gamecocks coming in at 18-1 overall, 6-0 in Southeastern Conference play, one of two teams that are still undefeated in SEC play, the other being LSU. The Gamecocks coming off Sunday's 101-60 victory here over then 13th-ranked Oklahoma. Gamecocks led 28-9 after the first quarter and never looked back on the way to the win. In fact, it was the largest margin of victory over a ranked team in program history. The Gamecocks hit 10 three-pointers in the contest. That was the second most this year. They also had a season-high 26 assists in the win. Freshman Joyce Edwards came off the bench to lead Carolina with 17 points, while sophomore Malaysia Fulwiley came off the bench with 15, including some highlight reel plays. Sophomore Tessa Johnson, 13 points off the bench. Sanaya Fagan, the senior, added 12 points, and senior Tina Paupau had 11 in the victory. As we check the Prisma Health injury report, brought to you by Prisma Health. As the official team physicians, Prisma Health provides the orthopedic and sports medicine care to keep the Gamecocks in the game. Prisma Health is proud to be the official healthcare system and team physicians of the Gamecocks. Of course, Ashlyn Watkins, the junior from Columbia, injured in the Mississippi State game a couple of weeks ago and lost for the season, but nothing new to add to the injury report. Let's hope it stays that way for the rest of the season. That's the injury report brought to you by Prisma Health. As we take a look at the LSU Tigers under fourth-year head coach Kim Mulkey. Well, her fourth year in Baton Rouge, 25th year as a head coach overall, and every year of her career, she's won at least 25 games. Pretty amazing. She's got her team off to a tremendous start at 20-0, 5-0 in the SEC. They're coming off Sunday's 80-63 victory at Florida. The Tigers are 20-0 for the second time in 3 seasons. Anissa Morrow had her 10th straight double-double in the win. Going to talk about the senior forward in a minute. It was her 92nd career double-double. That's the second most all-time. Michaela Williams, the sophomore who was the SEC Freshman of the Year last year, had 22, and that's significant because LSU has had 2 players score 20 or more points in the same game 11 times this season. They are the number 1 shooting team in the SEC and the number 1 rebounding team in the SEC. That's a pretty good combination, and that leads to a 20-0 start. But let's talk about the Tigers. Anissa Morrow has been tremendous. The senior forward is 6th in the SEC in scoring, 18.7 points per game, leads the league in rebounding, better than 14 boards per contest, also 4th in the league in steals. They do get a lot of steals, and she has been absolutely tremendous. First team All-SEC last year, honorable mention All-American as well, has 18 double-doubles this year, 12 games where she's had 20 or more points. In fact, she's got a couple of games where she's scored 20 points and grabbed 20 rebounds as well. Absolutely tremendous what she's done. But she's not alone. They've got a lot of help on the perimeter with their guards, led by Flau'jae Johnson, the junior guard from Savannah, former McDonald's High School All-American, was second team All-SEC last year after being named SEC Freshman of the Year before. She is 5th in the league in scoring, averaging 20 points per contest, and it's been absolutely spectacular this season. You got to keep an eye on her. She can also distribute the basketball. Michaela Williams, as we mentioned, another good one. The sophomore guard is a big guard, 6 foot. She's averaging 16.5 points per contest. She was the SEC Freshman of the Year last year. She had 7 20-point games as a freshman. She already has 6 20-point games this year. They do have some size that comes off the bench that helps them defensively, including Aaliyah Del Rosario, who's a 6'6 sophomore post player, as well as a transfer Jersey Wolfenbarger, a 6'5 junior who transferred from Arkansas. So they've got some size down low as well to make things difficult. But the big 3 we mentioned are the ones that can really put the points on the board. Of course, Kim Mulkey, as we said, her 4th year at LSU, 25th as a head coach after 21 years at Baylor. She's won 4 national championships and won the most recent one 2 years ago in 2023. So the last 2 national champions are here. LSU does lead the overall series between the two schools 22-20, but the Gamecocks somehow have won 16 straight late against LSU, hoping to keep that streak alive, including beating the Tigers twice last year in a couple of wild games. Gamecocks won 76-70 in Baton Rouge. They overcame an 11-point deficit to get the win on the road, outscoring LSU by 10 in the fourth quarter, led by Chloe Kitts, 14 points. Raven Johnson had 13 points and 9 rebounds. Tina Pow had a dozen. Camila Cardoso had 11 points. Breezy Hall had 10 points, including some big fourth-quarter three-pointers to help the Gamecocks win. And, of course, the game probably more people are aware of. Gamecocks defeated LSU 79-72 in the SEC Tournament Championship last year. Malaysia Fulwiley led the Gamecocks with 24 points, but I guess what most people remember from that game is the unfortunate Donnybrook that occurred in that game that led to the ejections of a lot of players for both teams for leaving the bench area and really made things ugly. Coach Elliott addressed that with the media earlier this week, basically saying that was last year. Nobody's really, on her team at least, is talking about that this year. But she has a feeling the officials are going to keep an eye on things and call things probably tight, especially at the beginning. So we'll see how that plays out here this evening. But should be a good one. Always is when these two teams get together. The last two national champions are here at Colonial Life Arena. In number 2, South Carolina, and number 5, LSU. For the Gamecocks, it's their 9th game this year against a ranked opponent. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll take you around the SEC and women's basketball in just a few minutes. We'll also get you caught up with one of the Gamecocks, or actually a couple of the Gamecocks who met with the media earlier this week to get their thoughts on today's game. That's coming up in just a moment. You're listening to South Carolina women's basketball on the Gamecock Sports Network from Learfield. And welcome you back to Colonial Life Arena as we get you set for basketball. Another top 5 showdown for the Gamecocks as they entertain 5th-ranked LSU here tonight. The last two teams that are still undefeated in SEC play. It's time for the Blanchard building blocks of South Carolina, and we shine our spotlight on sophomore Malaysia Fulwiley after an outstanding freshman year in which he was named to the SEC All-Freshman team and named MVP of the SEC tournament. She has followed that up with a good sophomore season to this point, averaging 11.2 points and 2.9 rebounds per contest, and has 2 20-point games on the season. Had 15 points off the bench in Carolina's big win over Oklahoma in their last game on Sunday. That's the Blanchard Building Blocks of South Carolina, presented by Blanchard Machinery. We build South Carolina. Well, earlier this week, it was Johnson & Johnson who met with the media to talk about this game. Raven Johnson and Tessa Johnson. Raven, the redshirt junior from Atlanta, and Tessa, the sophomore from Albertville, Minnesota, met with the media, and we'll hear from them now, and it'll go back and forth. Raven, Tessa, you get the idea. Here they are.
Johnson. Questions for Tessa or you gotta hold my hand?
All right, big rivalry matchup, obviously. I guess just your thoughts on taking on LSU.
We're just gonna keep the main thing. You know, we're gonna take one game at a time.
Do you see anything different about this LSU team from the ones you faced twice last year?
I mean, they're a little bit of a different team, but like she's saying, we're keeping the main thing, so we're really focused on us and our preparation.
Is there any fire left from that SEC championship game?
I said we left that in the past. I mean, you know, you can't really dwell on what happened last year. It's a whole new season. It's a whole new team. We have a whole new team, so we're just going to leave that in the past.
You spoke of the preparation. Obviously, you have another day to get ready for this. How does that change how you get ready for this game when you do have 24 more hours to get ready for it?
Just focusing on what we need to work on going off the other games and our future season.
You know, Coach Staley said it's just another game, but after all, this is a rivalry game. Describe how exciting and fun it is to have this type of atmosphere and hype for a game in January.
It's good for women's basketball overall. I mean, we know there's going to be a lot of views. I mean, when you go on social media, all you see is LSU versus South Carolina, the fans, everybody just talking about it. So just the hype around the game is good for women's basketball. But I think as a team and as a South Carolina, the culture, we don't look into stuff like that. We just want to play. Like I said, we take one game at a time.
When you look at what LSU's done this season, they are undefeated, but they've had 3 games where they hit buzzer beaters to win. What does that tell you about how they're going to compete until the very end?
Like you said, they're going to compete till the very end, but we also are too.
Toughest thing about defending Flau'jae Johnson off the dribble?
Oh yeah, she's tough. I mean, SEC is a tough conference. We got a lot of star power in the SEC. So I mean, I think we're ready to guard her, and I think she's gonna bring her A game. We just got to match her energy.
Kind of to that point, you guys have played against some of the best offenses in the country these last couple games. How do you continue to keep a team like LSU under wraps?
Staying disciplined on defense and focusing on our keys for that specific game.
This is such a big, grand stage for this game. If there's anything that you guys haven't shown the world yet, is there something that you want to for this game?
Just competing. I mean, Coach emphasized that every day in practice, competing for your 9A game and just being us.
Yeah, and healthy competition out there and having fun, playing unselfish.
All right, that was Raven and Tessa Johnson. I think you could tell from the Minnesota accent which one was Tessa Johnson there, as they met with the media the other day to talk about tonight's big matchup. Another top 5 matchup for South Carolina. The last 2 undefeated teams in the SEC. The Gamecocks at 6-0, LSU at 5-0 in league play. Should be a good one. It always is when these 2 teams get together. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll take you around the SEC and women's basketball. Also get you caught up on what else is happening in Gamecock athletics. That's coming up in just a moment. You're listening to South Carolina women's basketball on the Gamecock Sports Network from Learfield. Hey, USC fans, when the Gamecocks make 3 3-pointers, you'll score a free 3-piece hand-breaded chicken tender tomorrow at Hardee's. Simply download the Gamecocks app, show the Hardee's cashier the app offer, and enjoy hand-breaded tender deliciousness. Download the Gamecocks app today and check out this exclusive offer brought to you by your friends at Hardee's. Participating Columbia and Spartanburg area restaurants only. Hardee's, goodness in the making. And we're welcoming back to Colonial Life Arena. Going to be a packed house here again for this top 5 showdown. South Carolina taking on 5th-ranked LSU here this evening. A day late due to the weather, but hey, everybody's here. We're good to go. Let's take you around the SEC in women's basketball. In fact, this is the only game being played tonight in the SEC since everybody else went on as scheduled last night. In fact, no other top 25 games on the schedule tonight either. So let's get you caught up on what happened last night. There were some good ones. First, a top 20 showdown in Austin where 7th-ranked Texas knocked off 17th-ranked Tennessee in a close one, 80-76. Texas improved to 19-2 overall, 5-1 in the SEC, a game back of the Gamecocks. Tennessee 15-4, 3-4 in the SEC. We'll see Tennessee at their place up in Knoxville on Monday night. That should be a good one as well. Elsewhere in College Station, 11th-ranked Kentucky suffered their first league loss of the year as Texas A&M picked up a win at home, 61-55 over the 11th-ranked Wildcats. With the win, Texas A&M improved to 10-8 overall, 3-3 in the SEC. Kentucky dropped to 16-2, 5-1 in league play. Elsewhere last night in Starkville, Mississippi State playing well. They blew out Auburn 96-56. Bulldogs now 16-5 overall, 3-4 in league play. Auburn struggling at 10-10 overall, just 1-6 in Southeastern Conference play. And the only other game last night in Nashville, another blowout. Very good Vanderbilt team defeated Arkansas 101-60. The Commodores improved to 16-4 overall, 3-3 in league play. Arkansas drops to 8-13, 1-5 in the SEC. As we take a quick look at the SEC standings coming into tonight, just in league play, LSU at 5-0, the Gamecocks at 6-0. Texas and Kentucky both 5-1. Then Alabama and Ole Miss are both 4-2. Oklahoma, Texas, Vanderbilt 3-3. Mississippi State and Tennessee are 3-4. I think Tennessee's 4 losses have been a combined 8 points. So they're still good despite the 3-4 record in league play. Florida 2-4 in the league. Arkansas and Georgia at 1-5. Auburn at 1-6. Missouri winless at 0-6. And checking the weekly awards. Congratulations to South Carolina's Joyce Edwards. She was named the SEC Freshman of the Week. She led the Gamecocks in scoring in a pair of wins last week, averaging 19 points per game and shooting 75% from the floor and 80% from the foul line in the 2 games. She scored 11 of her career-high 21 points at Alabama in the 4th quarter to help the Gamecocks get a win there. So congratulations to Joyce Edwards, the SEC Freshman of the Week. SEC Player of the Week went to Madison Booker, who scored 28 points on 13 of 9 shooting from the field to lead Texas to a big win over number 8 Maryland, a non-conference matchup earlier this week. Had a 20-point game at halftime in that one. Madison Booker of Texas, the SEC Player of the Week, and Joyce Edwards of the Gamecocks, the SEC Freshman of the Week. Quick look around Gamecock athletics this afternoon. Both South Carolina men's and women's tennis teams are in action. The men's team playing at a tournament, a top 20 matchup. The Gamecocks ranked 16th, playing 15th ranked San Diego today. The 20th ranked South Carolina women's tennis team playing today at a tournament as well against 7th ranked Duke. So good luck to both of them. Elsewhere this weekend, the South Carolina swimming and diving teams at home on Saturday morning. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. they will host Georgia Tech. And men's basketball back in action here tomorrow at Colonial Life Arena. And their second matchup with 14th ranked Mississippi State. That'll be a 1 o'clock tip. And Derek Scott and Judge Casey Manning will be on the air at 12:30 on the network tomorrow. Men's basketball here at Colonial Life Arena against 14th ranked Mississippi State. But here tonight, it's South Carolina against 5th ranked LSU. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll hear from the head coach of the Gamecocks, Dawn Staley, to get her thoughts on tonight's matchup. That's coming up in just a moment. You're listening to South Carolina women's basketball on the Gamecock Sports Network from Learfield. The pregame coach's interview is brought to you by Healthy Blue. When it's time to choose your Medicaid plan, choose Healthy Blue for free checkups, prescriptions, vision and dental care, and urgent care. Plus, qualify for free extra benefits, including gift cards, diapers, car seats, and so much more. All from your local plan, backed by the Cross and Shield. Learn more at healthybluesc.com. Back at Colonial Life Arena, Brad Muller joined by Don Staley, head coach of the Gamecocks, as Carolina gets set for another top 10 showdown. This time it's LSU. And, Coach, coming off the blowout win here the other day against Oklahoma, got off to a great start, especially in that first quarter. We've talked about shot selection all season long. A start like that, was it all about shot selection, or were there other factors that gave you such a great start?
I think just getting out to a quick start, transition defensive-wise, really helped us to focus in. Obviously, good shot taking will eliminate some of the transition that teams' transition offense will get on us. So I just thought we were locked in from start to finish, and there were very few times that we were out of character when it came to the very things that will allow us to win or lose basketball games.
A lot of attention on this game, obviously, even though it's a day later, more time to simmer, I guess. 2 great games with them last year, the last 2 national champions going head-to-head. With all that other stuff around this game, any trouble with the ladies locking in at practice?
No, I know it's been a longer week than normal, but they've been locked in. I don't think you can play in the SEC or South Carolina or LSU would not get a rise out of playing this particular game, no matter where it is. We had to go there, and it was incredibly exciting. Just the bus driving up to the arena and all the people having, all kinds of parties. We only got long lines of people. We do have that. I don't know if they're partying, but it sure will be a party inside Colonial Life Arena today.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a great atmosphere. Well, Malaysia, Fulwale, always exciting. She has a party on the court sometimes. She does so many things offensively that, highlight real kind of stuff. But after the last game, she talked about having to pay more attention to defense, and that's been kind of a difference for her. What have you seen from her, and how she's improved on that side of the ball, and what more do you want to see from her there?
I think when the young players, when the light bulb comes on for them, they see the importance of all of their game, and they see the importance of all of their contributions to our team. Malaysia's in that mode of taking that first step of learning, one, how to practice, how to focus in on practice, and how to find the details in what she needs to do to make her a great player on both sides of the basketball. And it's beautiful to see when that light comes on. It doesn't mean it's going to stay on, but there's growth, and she's seeing some success on both sides of the ball. Yeah,
it's been fun to watch. Well, let's talk about LSU. When they're not playing your team, they're certainly fun to watch. They've got some stat fillers. Morrow, a double-double machine. Flau'jae, just a tremendous talent. Michaela Williams, it goes on and on. Scouting report for LSU and what we need to do to slow them down.
They score points. They score points without shooting the three. A lot of threes. So they get out in transition. They got a big three that can fill up a stat sheet. Again, we have to just be disruptive. We got to make sure we get them out of transition and into playing half court, where our defense has been pretty good. And then rebound is going to be the telltale sign. If we can control the boards and control the paint, put some points on the scoreboard, I think that favors us.
Coach, good luck tonight. Let's get another win.
Thanks, Brad.
Don Staley, head coach of the Gamecocks, back with the starting lineups after we take this time out. It's Carolina basketball from Learfield.
the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Cool Care Heating, Air, Plumbing, and Refrigeration is proud to be the Gamecock basketball's official review sponsor this season. Schedule an official review of your HVAC and plumbing systems for the cold winter months. Connect online at coolcarehvac.com and find them on social media. Cool Care Heating and Air, South Carolina's best. And we welcome you back to Colonial Life Arena as we get set for basketball in this top 5 showdown with South Carolina entertaining 5th-ranked LSU here this evening in front of a capacity crowd at CLA. Let's